What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to have a look at some new rulings from OP-10. Now, I know we did the OP-10 FAQ. The OP-10 FAQ came out at the end of November. We had a good old chat about the OP-10 FAQ, but they went and did more of it. They went and showed us a few more rulings. What am I going to do? Not go and share the new rulings with you? No, ladies and gentlemen, that doesn't sound like me. We got a few new rulings we need to talk about. So let's start off with Scotch. But it's not really Scotch. It's Scotch and Rock together. Because you see, they do very much make a pair of cards. So Scotch then is a red card, 2 cost 1,000 power, counter plus 1,000 with blocker. And on play, if you don't have a rock, you may play up to 1 rock from your hand. Play 1 character, get 2 characters, job's a good un. And rock's a very similar kind of thing. Again, 2 cost, again, counter plus 1,000, but you go up to 3,000 power, you don't have blocker, and you have a very similar skill, which is to say, if you don't have a Scotch, you may play up to 1 Scotch from your hand. Well, what if you've got 4 characters that are neither rock nor Scotch, and I play rock and activate its appearance effect? If I trash rock to play a Scotch, bearing in mind, of course, that when you have 5 characters, you can trash to play another character, can I then use Scotch's skill to play another rock? Yeah, of course you can. Of course you can. Because at that point, you don't have one in play. And then the same ruling either way round. Because they're just playing each other. The rule essentially is, look at the board. Is there, if you're playing rock, is there a Scotch on board? If you're playing Scotch, is there a rock on board? And it doesn't matter whether you've just trashed one to make room or whatever. You're just looking to see, is there one on the board? If there isn't, you can play a new one. Not sure how many people are going to be doing it. But the good news is, it is now an option. Yay! Now, there is a new Roanoa Zorro coming around in this set. It's not in red, although we've had plenty of red Roanoa Zorros before. We are talking about black over here. And Roanoa Zorro's got a skill whereby on play, you may rest one of your Dressrosa leaders or stages to KO a 4-cost or lower character, and then put the top 2 cards of your deck into your trash. And the rule here, which might be fairly obvious, but we need to talk about it anyway, can I put the top 2 cards of my deck into my trash without KOing a 4-cost or less character? Yes. Yes, you can. Now, the ruling here is all to do with the colon. What is before the colon and what is not. Anything that is in bold before the colon has to be done in order to activate the rest of the skill. But anything that is after the bold lettering in the colon is a do as much as you can kind of thing. So with Roanoa Zorro, it says you may rest one of your Dressrosa leaders or stages. That has to be done. If you don't do that, you cannot activate the rest of the skill. That is you can do this to activate the skill, or you can not do it and the skill doesn't activate. There's no middle ground. If you want to activate the skill, you've got to do that. But then the rest of it is all just kind of mixed together. So you're KOing a 4-cost or less character, and then you're trashing the top 2 cards of your deck. But you are able to just trash the top 2 cards of your deck without KOing a 4-cost or less character, which could be relevant, especially where there isn't a 4-cost or less character. That one could be relevant. Now, the other straw hat we need to have a chat about here is Usopp. There's been a couple of new rulings about Usopp. And we are talking about the leader here, which is seeing a bunch of play right now. And what we've got is your 2-cost and higher Dressrosa characters get +1 cost. And on your opponent's turn, once per turn, when one of your Dressrosa type characters leaves the field by your opponent's effect or are KO'd, and you have 5 cards or fewer in hand, draw a card. Okay. So during your opponent's turn, your Frankie is KO'd. Now, Frankie has a KO skill here, which lets you play a 3-cost or lower Dressrosa character rested from your trash. So Frankie is KO'd, and the KO'd effect activates before the leader's effect, causing Rebecca to appear. And for our purposes here, we are talking about OP-04 Rebecca, which lets you look at the top 3 cards of your deck, find a Dressrosa card other than Rebecca, and add it to your hand. To put it simply, Rebecca's on-play skill puts you up 1 card in hand. Frankie's KO skill lets you play Rebecca, which will add a card to your hand. But Usopp's skill lets you draw a card when one of your characters is KO'd, but only if you've got 5 or fewer cards in your hand. Okay, so does Rebecca activate, putting me too many cards in hand, meaning I don't draw, or do I draw with my Usopp leader and then play my Rebecca, at which point I can search for a character without ruining my draw from Usopp? Well, in this case, when the effect of the leader activates during the opponent's turn, it will always be activated before the effect of a character appearing because of Frankie's KO skill. So Usopp, it's not a choice. Usopp will always activate first. You draw, and then you get to search with Rebecca. This is a very, very good thing. Cool. So sticking with Usopp and sticking with some OP-04 cards, we've got Bartolomeo. Very good card. Sees a whole bunch of play. It's your free cost counter plus 2k blocker. So I've got Bartolomeo on my field with an original cost of 3, but we know of course that the leader Usopp will push the cost up to 4. At which point my opponent plays a Suru from OP-02, another card with which you should all be very familiar. On play, you give one of your opponent's characters -2 cost for the turn. Okay. Well, what's the cost of Bartolomeo at this point? Is it a 4 cost because Usopp increases it up to 4 and then Suru knocks it down to 2? Yes. Yes, it is. Because Usopp is a continuous skill. So although Suru is reducing by 2, Usopp will always keep pushing it up by 1, which means it will be a cost of 2, not a cost of 1. That is pretty important. Hey, speaking of Bartolomeo, if I've got a Bartolomeo on my field of an original cost of 3, leader effect makes it 4, my opponent plays Kaku, the one from OP-07. And that one says on play, you can put 2 cards of a type, including CP, from trash to the bottom of your deck in any order. Give one of your characters -3 cost during this turn. Well, this time, it would put the cost of Bartolomeo down to 0. Now, there's a weird way with how Suru works and how this works, and the way is like this. Usopp essentially goes first, but is always checking. It's a continuous check. So with Suru, Usopp puts you up from 3 to 4, at which point Suru puts you down from 4 to 2, but Usopp looks at you and you're still a 2 cost or above, so it's still working and you're good. But with Kaku here, Kaku puts you down from, well, it puts you down by 3. So Usopp has a look and goes, okay, you go from a 3 to a 4 cost. Kaku then puts you from a 4 cost down to a 1 cost, at which point Usopp goes, oh, sorry, mate. You only get the boost if you're a 2 cost or higher. Kaku's made you a 1 cost. You don't get the boost. You actually at that point go down to a 0 cost. It's a bit of a weird one, I grant you, but the deal is Usopp goes first and is continuously checking. With Suru, you get brought down from 4 to 2. So even though it's only the boost from Usopp that keeps you above 2, you're good. Whereas with Kaku, you get down to a 1 cost, at which point, even with a boost from Usopp, you're not above, so you lose a boost from Usopp. But take a look at like the Isho from OP-03. Don X1, on your turn, give all of your opponent's characters -3 cost. Well, in this case, it is Isho that goes first, brings you down from a 3 cost to a 0 cost, at which point, you know, Usopp is definitely not giving you the boost. That is not going to work. I am sorry. Weird rulings to get your head around. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. The confusing one is really going to be Suru here, and the fact that you stay as a 2 cost. But we know now, so yay! Last one we need to have a look at that's got new rulings is Release. A new event card that came around in the set. And again, one that you absolutely need to have a little bit of a look at. That is a 6-cost main. If you have 2 or more characters fewer than your opponent, KO one of your opponent's characters with an original cost of 6 or less, and one with an original cost of 4 or less. Can you use it to KO a character who was originally a 7 cost, but has been brought down below by other effects? No! This is not a controversial ruling at all. This is very much a read the card kind of ruling. It specifically says original cost of 6 or less and original cost of 4 or less. So no controversy here whatsoever. This is never going to work. Not even close. Don't even worry about it. And then there's another ruling of, well, hang on a second. What if we read it hyper-specifically and go one with an original cost of 6 or less and one with a cost of 4 or less that could have been brought down? No. Original cost of 6 or less, original cost of 4 or less. That is very, very important. These rulings were updated after the initial FAQ for OP-10 came out and I covered it, so we needed to come and talk about it here. And this is very important, especially the Usopp rulings, because we know there are a bunch of cards around there that lower cost and try and take advantage of low cost, and we need to figure out the order, and hopefully we've done so here. So now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think of these. Tell me if they make sense. Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Get us! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.